People always want to know about the crazy ones, the ones who loved too hard, the ones who lost their minds. Maybe I did. Maybe I still am. It's hard to tell when your reality shatters, then reforms into something less, something hollow. It started, as most things do, with a chance encounter. Not some grand cosmic collision, just a humid afternoon in a bookstore. The Bookworm's Nook, it was called. Ironic, given how few people actually read anymore. But I did, and she did. Her name was Alara, just Alara. No fancy middle name, no hyphenated last name she'd ever mentioned, just Alara. She had hair the color of burnt caramel, always a little wild, like she'd just run her hands through it in frustration or triumph. Her eyes were the kind of green that held secrets, the kind that made you want to dive in and discover every single one. She was wearing a faded band t-shirt. I think it was an old Smashing Pumpkins one, and jeans that looked like they'd seen 1,000 adventures. She was reaching for a copy of 100 Years of Solitude on the top shelf, struggling just a bit. I, being the chivalrous, slightly awkward 20-something I was, offered to help. My name's Daniel, by the way, or it was. Sometimes I wonder if that name still belongs to me, or if it got left behind somewhere in the wreckage. She laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a summer breeze. "Thanks," she said, her voice soft, a little husky. "My arms apparently haven't gotten the memo about gravity today." We talked then, for hours, right there, amidst the dusty shelves and the comforting scent of old paper. We talked about books, of course, but also about art, about music, about dreams. She wanted to travel the world, to paint landscapes that stole your breath. I wanted to write, to capture the messy, beautiful truth of human experience. We found common ground in the most unexpected places. We shared a cynical view of reality TV, a deep love for obscure indie films, and a mutual disdain for olives. Seriously, who likes olives? Days turned into weeks. Our bookstore encounters became deliberate meetings. Coffee shops, art galleries, quiet walks in the park, where the leaves were just starting to turn golden. Every moment with Alara felt like coming home to a place I didn't even know I'd been searching for. She was vibrant, intelligent, fiercely independent, yet with a vulnerability that hinted at a past she kept close. We'd talk for hours, our conversations flowing effortlessly from the mundane to the profound. I'd find myself hanging on her every word, trying to memorize the way her eyes crinkled when she smiled, the subtle shift in her voice when she was passionate about something. I fell, of course. Hard, like a stone plunging into a deep, endless well. It wasn't a sudden, Hollywood movie kind of falling. It was gradual, insidious, like ivy creeping up a wall, wrapping itself around every part of me until I couldn't imagine a life without her. I loved the way she debated, her mind sharp and quick. I loved the way she'd hum little tunes when she was lost in thought. I loved the way she looked at me, like she saw something special, something worth loving. I loved her so completely that I ignored the subtle oddities. The way she never had her phone on her, claiming she preferred to disconnect. The way she'd sometimes seem to vanish for a few days, then reappear with a vague explanation about being off-grid. The way she always seemed to know things about the city, about hidden nooks and forgotten histories that even longtime residents didn't. I just attributed it to her quirky, adventurous spirit, her love for exploration. I romanticized it, you see. I painted her with brushstrokes of mystery and allure, never questioning if those strokes were hiding something darker. Then came the night I confessed. We were sitting on a bench overlooking the city, the lights twinkling below like scattered diamonds. The air was cool, crisp, smelling of rain and distant pine. I took her hand, her skin cool against mine. "Alara," I started, my voice a little shaky, my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. I think I'm in love with you." She looked at me, her green eyes wide, unreadable. A long moment of silence stretched between us, thick with unspoken words and anticipation. My stomach clenched. Had I misread everything? Was this all just a friendship to her? Then a faint smile touched her lips. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I think I'm in love with you too." The relief that washed over me was so profound it almost buckled my knees. I leaned in and we kissed. It was soft, hesitant at first, then deepened. A promise, a revelation. It felt like everything had finally clicked into place, like the scattered pieces of my life had suddenly formed a perfect, beautiful mosaic. From that night on, our relationship deepened. We spent every possible moment together. We explored the city like tourists, finding hidden murals and secret gardens. We cooked terrible meals together, laughing until our sides hurt. We shared our deepest fears and our wildest dreams. She told me about her childhood, growing up in a small town, always feeling like an outsider, longing for something more. She spoke of a younger brother she'd lost when she was young, a shadow that still touched her eyes when she mentioned him. I told her about my own struggles, my anxieties, my hopes for a future I now envisioned with her. There was just one thing, one recurring, unsettling thing. She never let me go to her place. Not once. She'd always meet me out, or I'd pick her up from some vague corner, her explaining that she was house-sitting, or that her roommate was a bit eccentric and preferred her privacy. I told myself it was just her independence, her fierce desire for personal space. We all have our quirks, right? Love makes you overlook a lot. It makes you invent reasons for things that don't quite add up. One rainy Tuesday, I was on my way to meet her for dinner. She'd suggested a new Italian place downtown. As I drove, a sudden downpour started, visibility dropping to almost nothing. My phone, nestled in its holder, vibrated. It was a call from my sister, Sarah. "Hey, what's up?" I answered, trying to keep my voice light, even as the wipers struggled against the deluge. "Daniel, where are you?" Sarah's voice was tight, strained. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine. Just driving through this storm." "Why? What's wrong?" "Mom just called," she said, her voice breaking. "There was an accident, a car crash, on Maple Avenue, near the old library." My heart leaped into my throat. Maple Avenue. That was just a few blocks from where I was headed, a few blocks from the Italian place. "Is anyone hurt?" I asked, my grip tightening on the steering wheel. "Siwa, they're saying it was a fatality," Sarah choked out. "A woman. They identified her. Daniel, it was Alara." The words hit me like a physical blow. Alara? No. It couldn't be. She was waiting for me. She was at the restaurant, probably wondering why I was late. My mind raced, trying to find a logical explanation, any explanation. It was a mistake, a horrible, cruel mistake. "No," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "No, that's impossible. I'm meeting her right now. She's fine." "Daniel, Mom said they showed her a photo. It was Alara Vance, from Evergreen Lane. They're saying it happened almost a year ago." The world tilted. Alara Vance, from Evergreen Lane. My Alara never gave me her last name. She never told me where she lived. But Evergreen Lane, I had a vague recollection of seeing a small news blurb about a fatal accident there months ago. I hadn't paid much attention. Why would I? It was just another tragedy in a world full of them. I pulled over, my hands shaking so violently I could barely grip the wheel. The rain hammered against the windshield, mirroring the storm raging inside me. This wasn't possible. We had just spent the entire weekend together. We had made plans for next month, for a trip to the coast. "Sarah?" I said, my voice hoarse. "What are you talking about? She's alive. I just talked to her this morning." "Daniel, listen to me." Sarah's voice was firm now, laced with a desperate urgency. The police have a report. She died last year, instantly, a head-on collision. They closed the case months ago." I hung up. I couldn't process it. My mind was a whirlwind of confusion, denial, and a growing, suffocating dread. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through my contacts. Alara, her number. I dialed. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Then, a pre-recorded message. "The number you have dialed is not in service." No, this was a nightmare. A cruel, elaborate prank. I tried to call her again, same message. I checked our texts. They were all there, stretching back months. Her funny memes, her thoughtful questions, her sweet goodnights. But as I scrolled, a chilling realization dawned on me. She had never sent me a photo. Not once. She had never tagged me in anything online. She didn't have any social media, she'd said. And I, in my lovesick stupor, had never questioned it. I drove, blindly, to the address Sarah had mentioned, Evergreen Lane. It was a quiet, tree-lined street, the kind of place where nothing remarkable ever seemed to happen. I found the house, a small, charming bungalow with a neglected garden. A for sale sign was planted crookedly in the front yard. I knocked on the door, my heart a leaden weight in my chest. No answer. I knocked again, harder this time. Nothing, just the hollow echo of my own desperate hope. Then, a flicker of movement caught my eye. A woman, older, with kind eyes and silver hair, was tending to a rosebush next door. She looked up, startled by my frantic knocking. "Can I help you, son?" she asked, her voice gentle. "I'm looking for Alara." I stammered, my voice cracking. Alara Vance. Does she live here? The woman's expression softened, a deep sadness settling in her eyes. Oh, dear boy, she said, her voice laced with sympathy. You're a little late. Alara, she passed away almost a year ago. Right outside this house, actually. A terrible accident. She was so young. My legs threatened to give out. No, I whispered, shaking my head. No, that's not possible. I know her. I just saw her. The woman stepped closer, her brow furrowed with concern. Are you all right, son? She was a lovely girl. Her parents, bless their hearts, they moved away a few months after. Couldn't bear to stay. But I've been with her, I insisted, desperation clawing at my throat. We've been dating for months. We were just together this weekend. The woman looked at me with a profound pity that chilled me to the bone. I'm sorry, honey, she said, her voice soft but firm. Alara Vance died on October 17th of last year. I saw it happen. My husband tried to help, but there was nothing anyone could do. The date, October 17th. That was 3 days before I met her in the bookstore. My entire world imploded. Every shared laugh, every intimate conversation, every touch, every kiss, it was all a lie. Or worse, a terrifying, beautiful, heartbreaking illusion. I stumbled away from the house, the rain still falling, but I barely felt it. My mind reeled, grasping for purchase, for anything that made sense. How? How could I have fallen in love with someone who was already gone? Was I going insane? Was this some elaborate psychological break? I went home, but it wasn't home anymore. It was just a place where I was forced to confront the unfathomable. I tried to find evidence of her existence, of our existence. I scrolled through my phone, looking at the photos I'd taken. There were none of her, just landscapes, food, blurry shots of cityscapes. I remembered offering to take her picture so many times, and she'd always playfully refuse, saying she was unphotogenic or that she preferred to live in the moment. I'd respected her wishes, never pushing. I searched online, Alara Vance, Evergreen Lane, and there it was, a small news article, a few lines about a tragic car accident, a young woman pronounced dead at the scene, her name, her age, a photo, a blurry, slightly grainy picture, but unmistakably her. The same caramel hair, the same enigmatic green eyes. My Alara, dead, for almost a year. The ensuing weeks were a blur of grief, confusion, and a creeping, insidious terror. I didn't sleep, I didn't eat. I replayed every single moment with her, searching for clues, for any sign that I had missed. The cool touch of her hand, the way she'd sometimes seem to shimmer in the light, the faint scent of rain and old books that always seemed to cling to her. Had those been hints? Had I been so blind, so desperate for connection that I had conjured her out of thin air? My friends and family were worried. Sarah came over every day, bringing food, trying to talk to me. I couldn't articulate what had happened. How do you tell someone you fell in love with a ghost? They'd think I was losing my mind, and maybe I was. I started seeing her everywhere. A flash of caramel hair in a crowd, a glimpse of a green jacket turning a corner. I'd chase them, my heart leaping with a desperate, foolish hope, only to find a stranger. The city, which had once been our playground, became a graveyard of our memories. Each street corner, each park bench, a painful reminder of a love that never truly existed in the physical realm. I went back to the bookstore, the bookworm's nook. The air was still heavy with the scent of paper, but now it felt like a scent of decay. I stood in the spot where we first met, reaching for the top shelf, but it was just air. My hand passed through nothing. No Alara, no laughter, just the echoing silence of my own tormented mind. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe I had some sort of breakdown. Maybe I dreamt it all, a vivid, elaborate fantasy to escape the crushing loneliness of my life. But the memories were too real, too vivid, too visceral. The arguments we'd had, the silly jokes, the way she'd lean her head on my shoulder, the warmth of her breath against my ear when she whispered something funny. How could a dream feel so profoundly real?